fools? Big T here, back with another video, and this video is obviously about the recent PlayStation 5 event. The future of gaming is here. And yeah, so this is my thoughts and impressions on it. If you follow me on Twitter, you kind of already know where I'm going to or coming from, but I want to give a more kind of complete picture of how I feel about the PS5 event, and just not just the PS5, but the the next gen hardware and where we're going to be going at the end of this year. So I put out a tweet, basically kind of a quick initial tweet about the future of gaming, and Sony's mantra about this being the future of gaming, and they started off with Grand Theft Auto 5. And I'm like, wow, the future of gaming, more like Back to the Future of gaming, is something, kind of what I put in the tweet, because this is going to be the third, 1, 2, 3, the third generation that Grand Theft Auto 5 is going to be on. Now, yeah, there's going to be more stuff added to it. A lot of the stuff that came from the online, GTA Online and stuff, I'm sure they're going to add some more story elements and whatnot to it. But I'm not going to go out and buy Grand Theft Auto 5 again. Not doing it. I didn't buy the 360 one. I bought it on Xbox One. And I'm not going to be buying it again on PS5 or Xbox Series X. Because, this is just the lassitude of Rockstar. Not just Rockstar, but a lot of companies today. And to not get into too crazy of a rant, because I want to have a separate video talking about that. I'm not with this whole movement. And, maybe it's because I'm a dinosaur. I can admit that. But I'm not with this whole let's just redo things, retouch things, and resell them. But anyway, the event itself was fine. Like, it wasn't. It was certainly better than Microsoft's. People act like it completely destroyed it. I mean, I don't know about that, but it was certainly better. They had more games and more games with gameplay. But this was Sony's event. This wasn't like an Inside Xbox that showed you some stuff about Xbox One and some games that third parties wanted to be showcased. Microsoft's event will be, I believe, next month, so that would be a more fair comparison. But this is all we got, so I understand that. But yeah, it was a decent event. But I go into it. I expected to see the hardware. I don't know why a lot of people didn't think that was going to happen, but I expected to see the hardware, not the price. We didn't get that. And hopefully some of this stuff that they spent that whole conference or seminar or webinar where Mark Cerny was talking about what the PS5 can do and all this stuff, and so I was expecting to at least get one game that was specifically about what it's going to do different, but we didn't really get that. Now I guess you could say Ratchet and Clank, that's cool. I like Ratchet and Clank. I'm not losing my mind about it, but another Ratchet and Clank game is good, because that means more 3D action games, more 3D kind of platformish type of games will continue to be made, which I'm all for. But it looked like, maybe that was showcasing the SSD with the way they were jumping between dimensions and whatnot pretty seamlessly. I don't know if later talked about that. Yeah, that's what the PS5 is going to be able to do with the SSD. But even that in itself, the idea of an SSD isn't overly exciting, especially if you've had a PC and you've been playing on that and you kind of know what that's about. It's not exciting. Great that it's coming to consoles, but it's not like, oh my God, this is totally next gen. Maybe it's just the fact that I grew up in eras where there was like these huge leaps in graphics and gameplay. I came from NES to Super Nintendo. That was like, wow, Super Nintendo to N64, PlayStation. That was like, whoa, Sega Saturn. Wow. And then you jump even then from PS1, N64 to GameCube, PS2. Mind-blowing. Dreamcast. Like, whoa. And it wasn't just about the graphics. The graphics were a big part of it and what we were able to do. But it was also like the games expanded. The worlds got bigger. There was just more to do in video games. It wasn't just like this arcadey feel that it used to have back in the day. Games became more and more expanded. And, I guess you get to a certain point where that's just not going to be a thing, because, a lot of development companies, studios talk about, wanting to be free and unshackled and be able to make these big, huge worlds and whatnot. And it's mostly just talk. Because even from, say, GameCube, PS2 to 360, PS3, they were, the games got better. As far as graphics and gameplay changed and got more structured and got more, just got quicker. It got more expansive. And from that era, PS3 to PS4, there wasn't a huge jump. Yeah, graphically, games looked a lot better, especially the more you got into the era. But the games themselves weren't really, doing anything that the past generation could do. There was a couple, there were a few, but not. But I think this is the era where it's really starting to show itself. And yeah, of course, this is just the early games. And like I said in another tweet, I said. Or I think it was in that same tweet later on down in the tweet, I said, holla back at me in 2 years. Because I think that's when the next gen will actually start. And maybe the games will actually not just look better, but actually be better as far as ideas and what they're going to do. And I'm a gamer that cares about that stuff. I know there's a lot of gamers that just give me my next Call of Duty, just give me my next Assassin's Creed or whatever. I'm fine. And that's cool. But I'm not that type of gamer, and we have to understand that gamers are different, and I understand that. But I give you my opinion on this. I'm not saying this is how it should be, but I'm giving you like my perspective. And if it's too much for you to handle, I don't know. Like, I don't think that I can end your happiness by going another way. But I'll talk about that in another video, not here. But this is, like I said, I'm a fan of Horizon Zero Dawn. It took me a while to get into that game, but once I got into it, I really got into it. And, there's the stuff that bothered me early on was still there, but I got into it a lot more with the gameplay and whatnot because I thought it was pretty good. I thought the gameplay is what kept me going. The story was, not terrible. It wasn't great. It was good. And that pushed me along somewhat, but it was a gameplay that kept me going and being able to level up and get new weapons and all that stuff. That's what kept me in the game. So I'm excited to get a new game, but it's not like I'm going to run out and buy a PS5 for it because I just played Horizon. I waited a couple years, 3 years for that. So right now what I'm looking at is going to make me run out and buy it. Now, again, the show itself was fine. There's a lot of games that were in this show that aren't going to be on Sony's platform. They're also going to be on the Xbox. So, I'm getting an Xbox day one, Xbox Series X day one, but it's not like I'm overly super excited about the future of it. I'm looking at it more practical. Like that's how I'm approaching my Xbox Series X purchase practically. It's a practical thing. It's not like, oh my God, I'm super excited. I'm such a Xbox fanboy. It's just like, well, I have all these original Xbox games, all these Xbox 360 games, all these Xbox One games, and I can put them, for the most part, because all of them don't work currently, but pretty much all my library is backwards compatible for the most part. I'd say about maybe 85 to 89% of my library can be played. So it's like I'm going to get the Xbox One X or Xbox Series X. I'm gonna get used to that at some point to be able to play all that stuff and have one system I can play it on, and maybe put away those older systems. And it enhances those older games. Some of them night and day wise, some of them you're going to be 4K, like 120 frames per second, mostly the Xbox original games, the ones that enhances there. And to me, that's great. I'm not overly excited about it, but I'm excited enough to where, again, practically, it's going to be good for me to just have that one system to play all that stuff in, and that's fine. So that's why I'm purchasing that. Now, Sony's PS5 could have got me there as well if, my library isn't as big as far as the PlayStation games go. PS1 I have a big library of games for that. But PS2, PS3, not really. PS4 is probably my smallest home console library. So, but still, it would have been an easier thing for me to be like, all right, I can put those systems away, which I would love to do. As far as like, especially like maybe my PS2 and my PS3. And I can just play it all on this system, but I can't do that. So, for me, it's not practical for me to go out and purchase a PS4 or PS5 especially based on what I just saw, because nothing in that was like, oh man, I got to go out and get this system. And I like to have about 5 or so games that I want to buy for a console before I get it, other than Nintendo, because Nintendo, hardware always excites me. And then I know those are my favorite games of all time, Nintendo series. So I'm going to get that regardless. So it's just who's going to get my attention first from the other guys. And Xbox did it with the Series X because it's practically makes more sense. And then there's people talking about, how the PS5 is designed. And, for me, the controller is ugly. The console looks better than what the controller was hinting at, but it's kind of weird, and I don't know if I'll have space for it to stand it up. And if I would get one, I would get because there's 2 versions of it. Obviously, there's the disc version that comes with a 4K Blu-ray, 4K, what is it called, Ultra Blu-ray player, and then there's all digital one, which people got excited for. Again, because Microsoft was testing this, to see how it would work. They did that with the Xbox One, and there was so much hate. I'm just pointing these things out. I'm not some Xbot, because I could care less, but I do care about narratives and how people try to string them. It's like, well, Xbox, they were trying that whole digital thing. They would see how that would go, because you got to kind of put something out in the market to see how it's going to work. And they did the experiment or whatever, and they got so much like disdain and hate for it. There was a lot of sad, the Xbox One sad edition, because it stands for Xbox One S all digital, so sad S all digital. I'm sure you get that, but here Sony's doing it, and nobody. I mean, I guess they were surprised because there was no rumor really about it. There was no, nobody really thought, there was no, like I said, there was no rumor about it. And it's amazing now. But anyway, that doesn't matter. I'm just not a huge fan of the design. I probably would have been, say, if it was 2002, because I remember way back in the day, there was all these crazy mock-ups for the next gen when it came to the GameCube. We didn't know it was called GameCube, but then it was called Dolphin. And the next the PS2 and stuff like that, what they would look like. It was always these crazy designs, like mock designs, futuristic looking designs. And so the PS5 kind of looks like that. But a lot of those were kind of silly. It's like concept cars, like some of them look cool, but some of them look kind of really strange. And, the first thing I thought, it looked like a Wi-Fi modem. I'm sure everybody kind of thought that. But, that's not the biggest deal. But I'm never a fan of how the controller looked, and I'm just, not overly excited about how the system itself looked. But again, the event was good. It showcased games. There was a lot of indie stuff in the middle, which I like indie games. But again, indie games are not going to be showcasing like some wow factor. So, that's where it took away. For me, it took away from what the future of gaming was about. But obviously the future of gaming still includes indie games and all that. So I get that. But this was your moment to wow me. And there's a lot of people, I feel like they're pretending to be wild. It's like, I also put out a tweet talking about how it's like getting excited about getting a new graphics card for your computer. Which people do get excited about that. They get happy. It's like, oh man, let's see what I can do now with my PC that I couldn't do before. So people get excited, but that's a very kind of narrow kind of excitement. It's not like, like oh my God, this is going to be revolutionary. This is going to change the industry or something like that. And we don't have that. And again, a lot of people are fine with that. I don't understand how you can get super excited without something like that, but I understand people being fine with that. But I feel like there's a lot of, and I've always felt this way. This is, again, I'll say this over and over again. One of the reasons I'll never be a mainstream YouTuber is because I can't fake excitement. I can't pretend that I care about stuff that I don't care about. And sometimes that hurts people's feelings. I don't know if that's like I don't want to disparage millennials because, they get a lot of disparage. But I think millennials are at least more susceptible to this. Oh, if you say something negative about something I like, that takes away from what I like. That takes away from my happiness and excitement. And I'm like, that's got to be a millennial thing. That's got to be I grew up in the era of everybody gets a trophy. Or everybody, get the participation trophy even if you don't win. You're not close to winning, you still get a trophy. I think that has to do, and I could just be being my dinosaur again, but I think that has to do with some of it. It's like you can't handle another person's opinion. Like I can handle people's opinion, and I'm happy to like challenge people on their opinion, but I don't feel like just putting an opinion out there should take away from how you feel about something. I know maybe that sounds crazy to some people. Does it sound crazy to you that if I say something about something you like, then you can no longer enjoy that thing? You can no longer like it? Because if that's the thing, boy, we are in a lot of trouble going into the future generations here. But yeah, like I said, the event itself was good. I'm not overly excited about the future of gaming right now. I'm pretty content with what we can do right now and what we have right now. And, maybe in a couple of years after they really tackle the hardware and they really start thinking about, what can be done, then I'll see stuff that excites me more. But as of right now, I'm not overly excited. My approach right now is very practical. So that's where I am. What else? Do I have anything else to say? I think that's one of the reasons I like being on the Juices Loose podcast, and we've been lasting for as long as we've lasted, because we're all Super Nintendo fans, but we're also practical about Nintendo. We're not just overly fanboyish about them. Like, we laud them probably more than most people would if you're not a Nintendo fan, but we also take them to task, and we're like, because I was happy about my Wii U when I got it. It's one of my favorite systems. I love it. And I was equally, if not more excited for Switch when it first came out. And that first 2017 year was amazing. I loved it. I thought the sky was the limit. But then 2018 hit and it felt like, not so much. You're not living up to what you built up in 2017. And so we talk about that, and we feel free to talk about that, and we don't feel like we have to go along with each other's narratives about that. We argue in our podcasts about our varying opinions on stuff. Like I feel like I'm less biased when it comes to Microsoft than the other guys are, but that's just a part of me that doesn't like blanket narratives and blanket statements about things. And I like to try to dig into the nuance. That's my favorite word. So we differ in opinions on that stuff. And but we're open and we're free to talk about these things. I don't think anybody gets upset, about other people's opinions in the podcast. And we get off. We're not mad at each other. It's just we're normal. We're normal human beings, and that's how you're supposed to act. But yeah, anyway, that's it. Let me know what you guys think. Did I miss something? Am I missing something? I also put that in the tweet. Am I missing something? Because I guess I could be. But, for me, people get, especially when it comes to Sony, people get way out of hand. Like, Sony is good about hyping their fan bases up. And so people seem to go overboard. It seems like it happens every generation. I fell into some of that hype, too, with the PS3. I was there day one in a line, outside freezing to get a PS3. So I fell into the hype then, and then subsequently, shortly after that, I was like, oh, this is not nearly what it was saying it was. And then PS4 happened, and everybody, oh my God, did you see Killzone, Shadowfall, all this stuff? Nobody talks about Killzone, Shadowfall anymore. It looks great, but it's not a great game. But they're really good at hyping you up in the moment. But even now, like I didn't see anything that was, oh my God, that can really hype even those guys up. Because I could understand it with Shadowfall, and then Killzone 2 was a big thing. It was that fake, trailer. And so I get it for that stuff, but I don't get it for when it comes to this. So yeah, so that's my take on it. You let me know if I missed anything. If I'm just I was called salty. I'm just being salty. I'm not letting people live, not letting people be excited because I put out a tweet that's different from their opinion. So you let me know. What am I missing? I want specifics. Tell me what exactly did I not get out of that conference, out of that event, and put it in the comments below. Hit me up or whatever. And so that's my take. Thank you guys for watching and listening, and see you fools next time. Peace out.